topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. Of course, I'm excited to be here because I get to be with you. So, I want to share a quick story. I know that we always talk about kindness. So kindness is also bringing energy when you show up. So yesterday, I was speaking on emotional intelligence at AmeriCorps at High Point, North Carolina. And there were a lot of universities that are closed right now. And a lot of students come from there to they're part of AmeriCorps and they couldn't come. So what I did was, because they were not able to attend the presentation, I created the guide and I shared it so this way it would be helpful to them. And what happened was that when I shared that with the organizer, they were very much like thankful. And I'm like, no, this is just a little thing that I could have done. And so what's amazing is that when you bring kindness, it just opens up heart. People's hearts, not only your heart, but people's hearts as well. And another thing I wanted to share was that there were a lot of colleges in there and a lot of different institutions. So people from different parts of North Carolina and just kind of sharing their experience after Halloween and all that. But I want to talk about a gentleman, David. He was from High Point University and he brought so much energy that it's just phenomenal. And also the whole room was packed with energy. But just his kindness on his table and showing up with energy really can spark so many different things. So don't ever underestimate that kindness is something that needs to be done. Kindness can be something where you can show up. So that was my experience from yesterday. And for those of you who have got our books, I so appreciate you. And for those who have not, please do get our books, because partial profits from our books will be sending in to people who have been severely impacted with Halloween. And our thoughts and prayers are with folks in Florida, because now Milton is coming in. So please stay safe for all our audience in Florida, and sending prayers your way. So let's bring on our guest. Welcome, Stacy.
Hello. Great to be here.
Oh, lovely to have you. So we usually start out from the beginning as to, do you recall a moment from your childhood or a person that left a mark on you, a positive mark?
It was probably my mother, and she always instilled in me that I could do anything, and I could do whatever I wanted. There wasn't you should do this, you should do that. What is sparking you? What excites you to do? I mean, and I looked at a lot of different things as I grow up. I actually didn't know what I really wanted to do. I thought maybe I'd be an archaeologist or something, which is totally different. But that excited me. That was interesting. But But honestly, I fell into sales just by chance. Like it was not, I was very shy growing up. And so thinking that I would be in sales, I just one day thought, that would be a route I could take. And it was really kind of moved towards money, that I could create my own wealth when you're in sales. And you can do that if you're on straight commission or have your own business. So, but, my mom really instilled whatever I wanted to do, I could do.
Oh, that is so powerful because so many times, parents have their own vision as to what their children need to be, and nothing wrong
Yes.
with that, because so many times we need to guide children and the youngsters. So, but that's fantastic that you were able to go ahead and do that. So share with us your journey as to how did you get into sales.
Well, I had done some different things early on, and um, I was really trying to find my way. And I was looking for a new position, and I found this position in the newspaper. I'm showing my age with looking in the newspaper because people don't do that anymore. And I found this position for an outside sales rep to sell beauty products. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like it would be fun, exciting, something new. Who doesn't love new things all the time, especially as women? And I thought, and it was straight commission. I thought I could write my own paycheck. So that like sounded exciting, grow my, my financial wealth, as well as do something that I like to do. And so little did I know that when I got into that it was a brand new product. No one knew anything about it, and I was starting from scratch. So
Mm.
it was a rude awakening when I got out there and I did like 20 cold calls a day. And if you can imagine doing that, no one knowing the product, how many no's I got.
Of course. And so during that time, you said that how many no's did you get? So how did you go from no's, and it could be 50 no's, to even getting one yes?
Well, there was times I cried, believe me, the first couple weeks. I'm like, what did I get myself
Mm,
into? Right?
mm,
What,
mm.
what was I thinking? Well, I didn't know. I mean, you just go forward thinking, oh, that sounds exciting. But there was something inside of me that just said, just keep going. You can do this. You're going to figure it out. And I was really lucky that the management was training me. They knew that I was totally green and didn't know what I was doing. And I just kept walking in the door because I walked into beauty salons and showed my little basket of product. And I was like, I like the product, and plus I have hair that kind of shows product, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to figure this out. And lo and behold, what it was all about, and I was listening to you at the beginning of your show, that it's all about relationships. And so I realized that the more I could learn about the salons and their business and how I could help them, what value not just my products brought, but what I could bring to the table. And so that just started, I built my relationships, one salon by one person, by one person, by one person. And that's what, grew my business. It was just a like inner knowing that you can do this. You can do this.
Mm. So tell us, like, where did you end up at?
Well, the first, 2 or 3 years was not easy, but I just kept going. And after 3 years, I had gotten up to from like $2,000 a month in sales to $30,000 in sales a month. And they promoted me to regional manager. And I was thrilled. I was actually wanting that. I felt like that was like calling me I learned how to do it, but now wanted to help others do what I had done.
That is definitely powerful. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit. You
Mhm.
mentioned that initially it was just keep on going, keep on going. So what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is that one thing is that company kept on understanding that, hey,
Mhm.
when somebody comes in new, you meet them where they're at, and then they trained you. So share,
Mhm.
like, from two perspectives. first of all, let's start out with somebody who has signed up for a product, who took a job without knowing. What could they do in the situation, and what could their bosses do in a similar situation?
Well, first off, from someone taking on a job, I mean, I was lucky that they did have training. But that
Hmm.
would be now, if I would give any type of advice, if you haven't done something, to make sure that a company is bringing you training, not
Hmm.
just, hey, let's go through like a week of training or whatever, but ongoing. And especially in sales, if you have somebody out there working with you in the field or going out on appointments with you. I mean, that is powerful. So you can watch someone do it, then you can do it, then you do it together. I mean, that is about support. And that's what I had. And that's what I've always done. Like, hey, I'm sitting next to you. I'm not your boss. I am, we're a team. Like that feels really great. And then the end client can feel that as well. um, and as far as, a company, training to me is everything. Like if you want to keep valuable people, which I know a lot of companies want to do that, you got to take care of them, train them, encourage them, have them, what do they want to do? How can they grow? And when I work with small companies, boy, I know, man, they are invested in their people, and I know that they're going to keep those people long
Yeah, and that's the key. When you're vested in your people,
term.
then goes back to the relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So talking about training, that's really powerful. Like have not only onboarding training, but also have
Hmm.
that ongoing support. So
Yes.
tell us, like, especially in sales, because sales is something that people shy away from. People think sales is sleazy, and it's that one of those topics that people tend to avoid. But it's a
Absolutely.
necessary element of any business. So when you're training someone, what elements are the key to be, or the core elements that need to be present in the training so the person, whoever is doing sales or salesperson, whatever we want to call them, is empowered and they keep on growing, and like, because when they grow, your company is growing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's interesting my how I train people has evolved, right? And because
Mm.
I've been doing this for 30 plus years now. And so I was, trained a certain way. And most of it was what to say, processes, which are so, so important because confidence is everything. I mean, I love the title of your show because in sales, confidence means I know what I'm doing. I am completely confident in the product I have or the service that I have. And people, that energy, like you were saying at the very beginning, is everything. Your energy, what you bring, your energy, individual. So to me, the foundation of sales is the belief in yourself, the belief in the product or service. And when you come in, it's really being mindful of your energy. And any time you're networking or you're doing a presentation or your first time meeting people, like that's everything. You have what? A couple seconds to make a first impression. And so you have to set yourself up to be ready to do that. Like coming on here or, meeting someone for the first time. People don't really think about it prior to the time that you're there. But you were talking about the gentleman with kindness. I mean, I love that. That like preceded him. His energy preceded him. And to me, confidence and your energy and being authentic in who you are is the foundation, the first step to really be thinking about sales. And it's not about pushy or like, oh, I have to sell something. I mean, that goes into the mindset as well. But it is not about that. So that's the foundation to me is your energy, you being authentically you, because you bring all the experiences that you've had, your personality, like all of you is the secret sauce to me of sales. And if you step into that fully, boy, people are going to feel who you are and to see if it's a good fit. I think that's really important. you don't always want to do business with everyone. They're not necessarily always in alignment. So if you're in
Right.
your true self, that's why I call my company True You, is because that
Mm,
is the most important piece of the puzzle to me. And
yeah.
that's what I've grown into as I started my own business. And then the next layer is to really have the process. A lot of people kind of just wing it. Hey, I'm a people person, right? But it's having a process that you actually use consistently over and over. And I trained a lot of people over the years. And no matter what you do, have a process from, who is your ideal client? Like, again, do you want everybody or do you want a certain client that you love to work with? So that's part of the process from who's your ideal client to how do you, what's the conversation you have? What are the questions that you ask? Um, and to me, part of a great process is really knowing what questions to ask so they'll tell you. Boy, people will tell you what they need and what they want. But if you're trying to sell them and here's what we have and here's the benefits and all that's important, but it's after you find out what's truly important to that person, that company, whatever you're selling, is it a good fit? Is it going to be the right thing? Then there's never any pushing because it connects, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And whatever you're sharing is so foundational to high performance, like in any field
Mhm,
that you're at.
mhm.
So you talk about that unshakable confidence, and you mentioned a couple of elements. So, in your experience, are there any other elements that people need to be aware of to build that unshakable shakable confidence for sales?
Well, it's not a one-time thing. It is a everyday, um, being intentional. When I work with my clients, I go because you could train someone to be terrific, right? And they have a process, but if they come in and they don't have that morning, whatever, they're thinking about their kids or they're thinking about, other things that happen in their lives. This is real life because you can go, well, this is what you do, but real life happens to you. So, how do you step into that? That's why in the morning I meditate. I mean, I get centered in me. Exercise. I mean, it's really starting with taking care of yourself and then each morning being intentional. How do I want to have this day go forward? And how do I want to show up? I love talking about how would I be? How would I be if I was in my highest self? How would I show up? Right?
Mm,
And if you go, I'm my highest self today, I'm going to be energized, I'm excited. How can I serve? How can I serve the people that I love? I love talking about sales. I love talking about mindset because this changes people's lives, right? It makes an impact. So that's living from your highest self and starting with the energy every day. That's if you say every day, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to be intentional. You make an impact not only for yourself, but the people that you interact with.
So, what I'm hearing is that having that intentional mindset
Mhm.
and creating the space for getting to know your true self and meditating.
Yes.
And
Yes.
actually, just recently, I wrote a blog on LinkedIn about that. I think so it is Bezos who does that, like, every morning for an hour, he doesn't touch any phone or any digital media. So the
Yes.
key is having whatever your routine you like to have, creating that
Absolutely.
space for yourself to create the intention for the day. So what I'm hearing is that when you set that intention, you're successful through the day. Is that right?
I would say you are gonna enjoy the day better, right?
Mm,
People that you interact with are going to and if there's problems that come in, instead of looking at, "Oh my gosh," reacting to it, you're like, "Okay, so what's the solution?" Like, you immediately go to the solution instead of getting deep into the reactionary mode. When you're centered and you have taken care of yourself, like that self-care, you're overflowing instead of being at your detriment. And that's the key is, some people like, oh, I have to do this work or whatever, and they don't take care of themselves. You cannot be at your best, at your highest self when you are not taking care of yourself. So I
Mhm.
truly believe that it comes from what's important. Are you feeding yourself? Or are you just giving, giving, giving? And there gets to the point where people they just get run down and then it does nothing matters. You know what I mean? They just get
Yeah.
tired and worn out. And it happens to so many people. I mean, you see it, I think, more and more that people are like, I can't do this anymore. And it's the self-care, it's taking care, whether it's sitting and going, I'm gonna sit outside and have my cup of coffee, I'm gonna read, some Bible verse. I mean, it could be anything that just centers you and that says, I'm important. That's important for people to know that they're of value and what they do each day is gonna takes care of themselves so they can give more to others. I mean, your cup is overflowing. There's more to give.
Hmm. So it almost goes back to like if you have a phone, you got to recharge your phone every single day.
Absolutely.
And when you
Yeah.
do, it doesn't matter. So similarly, but for us as human beings, if we recharge ourselves or reset ourselves in the morning time, it is setting that intention and the
Hmm.
mindset for success during the day. So, okay, so let's say people have taken care of self care. And now, as part of sales, you have talked about practicing the process. So,
Yes.
usually, what would that process look like? Let's say somebody goes in, they have built that relationship, but in actual, they're working with the ideal client. But what does it take to go from that relationship and conversation to having that yes? And which is a heartfelt yes. I'm not saying like, coercing someone or persuading someone, but showing them
No,
the value of your product and bringing.
absolutely. Absolutely. So it's having the process and that it's written down. Like so that's as far as practicing, it's before you get on a call. Before you get on the call, you review what's the process that I have? Why am I doing this? What's this going to uncover for them? And a lot of times, I was talking about the discovery process because a lot of times the discovery process is for you to understand, but also it opens them up to go, oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't, and what I do, I ask people, so if you did nothing, if someone was looking at something like a course, like a sales course that I have, and I said, if you don't do anything, you just, keep going the way you are, how is that going to be for you? um, how will you feel? And a lot of times they'll go, well, I'll feel stuck because I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not being able to, I have to sell. I've got to sell and make money so I could have a business, right? So
Mhm.
my point of that is to go, whether they take my course or not, it's neither here nor there because you want it to be like, this is a yes for me. Like feels good. This feels in alignment, but it also just goes, there's something that's not working. What is it that I need to do? And so again, it's all through that questioning. So they are become aware what's important to them, what are they wanting truly, and then walking them through the process. Say, if this sounds good to you, then can I share with you what I'm offering? It's not selling. This is what I offer. Here are some of the offerings that I have. Again, it's a this instead of I'm pushing to sell. It's offering my products and services. And that's a mindset shift, where people
Mhm.
are like, I don't want to push anybody. I've never been a pushy person, salesperson. It's like, this is what I have. These are the offerings that I have, and helping them through the process. And if you're confident, again, throughout the whole thing, if you're confident, you're here to serve them, that you want the best for them, and honestly being authentic through the whole thing, that's the process. And telling your story. There's another one that I think is a big piece of the puzzles. If you tell, why am I doing what I do? Why am I passionate about offering, whether it's, sales training or retreat that I do? Um, and I tell them what it's done for me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And my journey, or I'll talk about a client's journey. You know, they came to me and they were overwhelmed and their sales were low, and you know, whatever that story is, so they can see themselves in that journey or using the product that you have. So it really is something that you have to create. This is a process that is of creation of from you, but also sound processes that help you move through helping someone make the right decision for themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense. And one thing that you shared stuck out for me is that you had said that initially also believe in that product and how it has changed your life.
Hmm.
So, what if somebody has just joined a company and they're just starting out and they've not had, because a lot of times when people join organizations or companies, they've not had a chance to experience the product themselves. So, what could they do to close that gap
Of the understanding of the
of the
belief of the
product?
product.
And like you talked about the transformational journey, that share your story. So, like, of course, they can
Hmm.
share why they're in it and or how another client has gone through it. What if they don't have access to that?
Well, I would, if they have clients, if they have, you know, clients that they're going to service, and, you know, depending on what you're selling, I would call some of the clients. What do you
Mm,
love about this product? Tell me why you started using it. Why do you still, you know, are you continuing to use our products? What do you love about our services? Like, do some research, right?
mhm.
Um, look at testimonials, go on their webpage, ask, let's say, other employees, what do you love about this product? What are your clients saying about the products, and why they continue to work with our company? You know, do research is huge. Social media, you could gain a lot just from following other clients of the company.
Absolutely. So now that's powerful is that what I'm hearing is that just don't rely on the training that you're getting. Get
Yes.
into it, make it
Yes.
your own. And when you are sharing that story, when that belief is coming from the heart,
Mhm, mhm.
it's not
Absolutely.
just mouthing and not just doing the check, 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 check. Like, because so
Right.
many times what happens is, all right, I did this training, checkbox. Just
Yes.
don't mouth it. When you are just mouthing about it, then it
Yes.
doesn't resonate because people
Yes.
know that you are not totally into it. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, it goes back to what I was saying, like,
Yeah.
people feel your energy before you
Mm.
even talk. We
Mhm.
don't really realize it's like when you walk into a room of people, there's a lot of times you can go, "Oh, they feel I can feel their energy," and other people are kinda like, "Hmm." They're kind of step back, right? Or you can sense those things. You can sense authenticity. And so you have to you have to realize that that's actually happening, and a lot of times we hold ourselves back because of the way we're thinking about ourselves. Well, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, if you're having that type of self-talk, people feel it, and they're going to go, not quite sure. You know what I mean? That's how I was saying that confidence is, you got to find it. That's digging deep. Like, that research would be important, so you have that authentic energy coming forward.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, there are days that life happens. So when
Hmm.
that is happening, how can they bring themselves into the intentional mindset where, as you mentioned, that, you're showing up with energy and you are showing up with confidence?
Well, yeah, I'm just about to walk into a retreat. I'm doing a 5-day retreat tomorrow, and I was talking to one of my the clients that's coming, and we were talking about, like, this inner stability, and that's where
Mm.
that meditation, or belief in yourself, that I believe in a higher power, like getting centered in just the everything's going to be fine. Because most of the time, everything is fine, right? If you really think about it on a general scale. But it is that just finding that center that you have within, even if something's happening outside, you can find that center. I truly believe that. Because there's a lot of stuff going on these days in the world, wouldn't you
Yeah.
say? That
Oh,
could
absolutely.
that could take us off balance from the election to the wars to and it is in our face social media, television, and that could take us off. So it's almost like, how do I take care of me? It comes back to that part. And I think a lot of people are challenged right now with all of that. But it really is finding what that is for you, whether it's exercise, it's reading the Bible, reading, meditating, whatever, walking in nature, like grounding yourself is where you're going to find the center because it's not outside of you, it's right here.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I like that, what you mentioned, inner stability, because this is one of the things that I tell my clients is that it's about depending on wherever you're living. Like if you're in
Hmm.
Florida, like, hurricanes,
Yes, yes,
or let's say if you're in California, it's wildfires, or if you're in Texas, it is
yes,
tornadoes, that you cannot change what's happening outside.
that's right.
What you can do is build that hurricane proof or whatever that is, like, outside proof house, and then put your energy in it, and that becomes home. And when you're
Hmm.
in that home, things are not
Yeah,
going to change, but the way you interact with things. So things are, it's not about looking at things as they are, but
yes,
changing the perspective and the lens through which you look at things. And that can shift so much. So
yes,
we have talked a lot about the mindset.
yes.
Are there any practical tips that you can share?
Well, we talked about the intention. I have like a morning mindset and intention sheet that I fill out that has gratitude, how I want to feel, what I'm letting go. Like those are just like get again process. It's like what's the
Yeah.
process? So that's one of the things that I do. The meditation is also what I do. But also it is preparing yourself. I talked about practice. Like
Hmm.
practice conversations, practice with other people. I mean, I remember practicing with my kids when I was first in sales. Like sales is a great communication, honestly. That's what it is. It comes down to communicating well. It's not talking over people, it's not talking to them. And so if you can practice with other colleagues, with family, like because the more you practice it, it becomes automatic. So you're not like
Hmm.
feeling like you're this robot because you don't want it to be, and eventually it will. I was doing some online training with Morgan Stanley financial planners, and it's like yes, that's very like black and white, right? But there's a everybody realizes it's a relationship. It is connecting with people, but you have to practice it. The more you're just like relaxed, your clients are going to feel relaxed. And isn't
Yeah.
that when it all the magic happens? So that's what I said.
Priceless.
Practice
Yeah.
makes permanent, not perfect. Practice makes permanent, so where it becomes automatic.
Mm, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, for sharing all the insights you have shared. Share with us, how can people connect with you? What programs do you offer? And how you support people?
Yeah. So I work with people in different ways. I work with them one on one. I do retreats. I just started doing those this year. And the reason why I do that is to find that center, to help people actually hear themselves, listen
Mm,
to themselves, because everybody has their own answers, but we look outside of ourselves. So I do a 5 day, 4 night retreat. I'm doing one here in Arizona. I do a program called unleash your sales potential. I do that one-on-one, or I do it in groups. But I love helping entrepreneurs or small businesses create sales teams, like hire people, train, ongoing training. I just, it fills my cup up. That's how I serve. And I love doing it. So if someone wants to get a hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn at Stacy Weber. One, I think you have that link up there. Also Facebook at True You Training and Life Coaching. And also at trueyoutraining.com is my website.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, listeners, for joining us, because you are the soul of the show. Reach out to us. Let us know how can we serve and support you. And thank you, Juan, for making the show technically possible.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.